So now that I've come to an understanding that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is no longer a Houston Texan, well, based on his role with the secondary, wanting to blitz more, and it could be, part because of the locker room issues, and probably didn't fit the D'Amico Ryan scheme. So with that being said, it's time to talk about, the harsh reality of the Houston Texans. And I get it, it's only been 3 weeks of the season so far, but before I get into that, what's going on YouTube? Lord of Houston coming at you with a video. 713 the Space City and we in the building. Alright, so the harsh reality and about what is wrong with the Houston Texans in 2025. Been on my mind and stuff, and simple. Starts with the Houston offense that's only averaging 12 and 13 points a game, through the first 3 weeks of the season. Let that sink in. Yeah, sure, we played against some pretty solid defenses in the Rams and Buccaneers, and even the Jaguars, who doesn't appear to be a slouch. But averaging only 13 points a game, inexcusable. And Nick Caley, he's looking worse than Bobby Slowick at this point. No creativity. The offense has no identity, no creativity. Already enough that the offense is boring as heck. And Stroud, just not himself right now. He's looking worse than year 2 Stroud so far. And I get it, part of that is the O-line not protecting him enough, but sometimes, gotta hold Stroud accountable for, choosing not to read the blitzes more effectively, or knowing where to throw the ball away when in danger of getting sacked for crucial yards. So can't do that in the NFL, because and this goes for any quarterback in the league, that hopes to be successful in his league. Got to be willing to read the defenses, just get the little things right before getting the big things right. That's just how I'm feeling about Stroud. As much as I support him, got to grow some balls at this point, because hasn't looked so bright for year 3 of Stroud so far. The defense had times when they got torched through the ground in the run, but the defense, can't be the problem. Can't be the problem. Having to play their hearts out, because the offense can't produce when it matters. And also, I want to throw this in here too, Jalen Smith's going to be going on IR for 4 weeks, along with Justin Watson, who will also be out for 4 weeks. Jalen Smith's going to miss 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. It sucks that this team's low on secondary depth. So hopefully no more players get hurt this week against the Titans, and a major must-win game at that. And one thing I'm noticing, opinion or not, Stroud isn't taking quite command in his offense, if it means him being a little bit more handcuffed. But the way Jalen Hurts went at Kevin Patullo, based on what his play calling was like against the Rams, that's how CJ Stroud needs to be going at Nick Caley, based on his play calling, because again, his play calling has been sus as hell, and because of that, Stroud need to call his own man up and call his own plays. If it means taking way more command of that offense, that could be the key, to letting Stroud cook. Let him run his offense. which could provide a potential spark that this team desperately needs, for sure. And Drew Scruggs should play at left guard, by the way. But though the way this online looked, you know, same old problems, which is holding this team back. So if I'm Nick Casario, man, I really got to, take in consideration into building up this offensive line heavy, because they're going to continue to not build this offensive line. Same old crap is going to happen year in and year out, no matter how talented this roster is on offense. Because not building up an offensive line effectively, and excuse me, just look at David Carr or Deshaun Watson. Heck, even Matt Schaub. How come they were getting sacked so much? Because of, the O-line not being effectively built. Hell, I remember Deshaun getting sacked a little over 62 times in 2018. How did that happen? A sorry O-line. A sorry O-line. So can't have a talented offense without an O-line, because how does that work out? I mean, the running game hasn't been bright either. I mean, yeah, they're missing Joe Mixon, but I mean, you can see a little bit more production from Nick Chubb and Woody Marks, while Ogunbowale needs to be strictly on special teams going forward. So, yeah, I mean, the Texans, they're just not a good team right now. And as far as, Jalen Reed upon return could be playing into a bigger role once he's activated. And yeah, I can see Jimmy Ward coming back week 5 if he doesn't play this week, for sure. Along with Denico Autry, he could also return in week 5 versus Baltimore if he doesn't return this week. So, but yeah, this 0-3 start is a reason that any real Texan fan would understand not to get their hopes up too high. Because it's already enough that this team sucks against tough competition. And I gotta say, and I said this before, if they lose this game to Tennessee, season's pretty much a wrap. It's already enough that they got Baltimore, coming up, Seattle and San Fran. Doesn't get any easier for Houston going forward. So, hopefully something positive changes within this offense. Nick Caley calls better plays. But then again, I can't spend too much time hoping, knowing how predictable this and conservative this offense tend to get at the wrong time possible, because it's already disgusting how tough it is watching an offense. Offense has no identity, no togetherness, no leadership, no motivation. Offense just weak-minded, straight up weak-minded. One penalty call on them, whether it's an offensive holding, false start, illegal shift, or any penalty, just one penalty. Offensive confidence is straight up immediately shot, just like that, and within a split second. And next thing you know, 3 and out, time to punt the ball. I mean, that's just how this offense has been rolling though so far. Just straight up weak-minded. Already enough that, defenses, having a clue of what the Texans are doing on offense. And like I mentioned, no creativity at this point. No creativity. But all I'm saying is, if things don't get turned around, hey, well, if they don't show emotional and mental toughness, Texans are cooked in 2025. That's all. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Now I want to revisit this, CJ GJ trade. I mean, yeah, you know, I did call it unexpected, and I was one of the fans that was excited. But what I'm now learning is it's looking like more like a lost type trade for the Texans at this point. When they first traded him for him with Kenyon Green, which I'm still glad he's gone. I did say this is looking like more like a win-win trade, but what I come to understand is, if if something works out, then it's considered a win-win. But if not, then it becomes a loss-loss. That's just how I'm looking at it. After 3 games played, 15 tackles, one class breakup, you know, and didn't even play a minimum of 4 games with the team, unfortunately, regarding CJ Gardner. I mean, it'd been nice to keep him, but, goes to show that, not everything's guaranteed at this point. So, it probably won't go into too much of the detail, as far as revisiting the Chauncey Gardner trade that the Texans did this offseason. But I got to say, it's looking more like a wasted trade at this point. A wasted trade. That's just how I'm looking at it. But, no matter what happens going forward, still gonna ride with the board with the Texans, support this team, ain't going on what, not easily jumping off the bandwagon again, because forget that. Yeah, being a Texans fan ain't easy. I get it. This team is yet to play in the AFC Championship game. I get that also, along with yet to play in the Super Bowl, let alone win one. Yeah, I understand that as well. And yeah, I get it. The other fan bases are laughing at us, and rightfully so. But hey, that's what happens when this team play like softies. That's what happens when they're not aggressive, especially on the offensive side. Yeah, like I mentioned, the defense had their moments, but I mean, yeah, they're not, creating a lot of turnovers right now, but still getting offense's chances to score points when it matters, but can't do it. So this is why I say this offense at best is stagnant, weak-minded, and boring. But yeah, man, Casario needs to go ahead and make this O-line a major priority going forward. Because if he continues to not build the O-line effectively, more problems ahead. And also get rid of this Patriot way type stuff, because the Patriot way offense getting old, getting way too old and played out and outdated. Get rid of that Patriot way crap. It's time to go. Time for that Patriot way to go and start doing things the Houston Texans way. Because it's been said, I said this before, the Houston Texans are not the New England Patriots. So I need to start doing things the Houston Texans way instead of trying to be like other various teams like the Patriots, because it hasn't worked out. It's not going to work out 9 times out of 10. So, yeah, that's about all I got, though. Still, always and forever, 24/7, 365. Go Houston Texans.